Alright YouTube, so we are back of course to talk about some Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I was asked by a viewer to chime in on the recent Remake Part 2 rumors, specifically from BltzZ, fellow content creator. So obviously full credit to BltzZ, his video will be linked in the description below. And I hadn't seen this video yet until I was asked to watch it. Started watching it and felt like, you know what, we could probably talk about this in a video instead of just replying to a comment. So let's just hop into it, dude. So somebody comes to BltzZ, who's apparently a longtime viewer of his, that is, hear me out on this, a beta tester for Remake Part 2. And apparently also, not only are they a beta tester, they don't have an NDA. He can just talk about everything he's doing. No problems. So there's no reason to hide their identity if there's no NDA. Like if you're testing a game, playing a game, whatever, and there's not a non-disclosure agreement, you're allowed to publicly talk about it. So I thought that was kind of weird. Secondly, if you were testing Remake Part 2, I'm almost like 99.999% certain that Square Enix would probably issue an NDA where you're not allowed to talk about it. Because why the hell wouldn't they? So without even really getting into it, we haven't even talked about what's supposed to be the information or the rumors from this. I think it's all bullshit. At least throughout the game, I'm just going to be honest with you. It's all bullshit. So the person makes a claim that Yuffie and Tifa cannot be in a party together and goes on to elaborate that it'd be because they'd just be too OP. There's no real reason, just they'd be too strong of a combination together and the devs wouldn't like that, so that's why. I'm just wasting my breath even making a response to this specific claim. No. Just no. Like, they're not going to limit our party members based on that. There might be story elements where the way the story plays out, at least for Part 2, that maybe Tifa and Yuffie never really come across each other. That's certainly a possibility. But they're not just going to make it to where, like, if you're editing your party and you try to put Tifa and Yuffie together in a party, a box is going to pop up when your screen says, can't do that, too strong. They also go on further to say that they haven't seen Tifa and Yuffie in a party together, which, obviously, based off of what we just discussed, doesn't make a whole lot of goddamn sense, since according to him, he claims that they cannot be partied together, so obviously you would not have seen them in a party. There seems to be a little bit of inconsistency here. Also, kind of before those claims right there, actually, the guy provided proof of him getting, like, the Chapter 18 trophy back in, like, December 2019. And that, of course, would have been a few months before Final Fantasy VII Remake came out. Now, for one, it's just a picture of a computer screen, so who cares? Like, that it's not proof of anything. Secondly, I don't think people were getting, like, their own versions or copies of Remake months and months ahead of time to test, like, just random people. They were just getting sent versions of the game, because he claims he got a test kit in 2019, because if people were getting the game that early and you could play through the entire game, all 18 chapters, pretty sure we'd have had a shit ton of leaks prior to the game's release, and we didn't. We got some leaks from people getting into the demo and getting into the game files, for sure, but we'd have had everything leaked. So I'm a bit skeptical in this guy getting, like, his own exclusive copies of the game. Plus, I just don't know why if they're going to be doing, like, beta testing, like, why they wouldn't, I don't know, why they'd just be sending out to random people. Just sending you, like, a download code, because he talks about potentially getting a download code, which I thought at first he already was playing Part 2 this whole time, but apparently he's, like, waiting on his beta version, or his download code, or whatever it's going to be. So I don't know where he gets a lot of these claims from. He was shown a video, apparently, through something that is similar to Zoom. And based on that, I guess that little bit of footage that he's seen, he just knows everything about Part 2. Anyways, the person focused a lot of their rumors and information on the character of Cid, which I thought was pretty interesting. Because that's obviously, based on the original FF7, the last character we're supposed to get on our team. So I don't know why this is so focused on Cid, because that also doesn't make a lot of sense. Because we still have to get Yuffie into the main party, and then we also got to come across Cait Sith. Presumably, that Gold Saucer could be different. And then obviously before Rocket Town is Nibelheim. Nibelheim's where Vincent is. And we know because of Nomura that the reason why they chose Yuffie is because she's the one that kind of had the freedom to do something different with. And then Vincent is still within the Shinra Manor. Like he's supposed to be. Where he's been for the last, 20, 30 years or some shit. So we know we're going to come across Vincent before Cid. But he also goes on to make the claim that Vincent's just not going to be in the game. And this is apparently based on the fact that he doesn't know who the Vincent voice actor is, but why would you need to know who the voice actor is? That has nothing to do with beta testing. Your only job with beta testing is to play the game from every possible angle in different scenarios and try to get out all the bugs and glitches and things like that. Like, you're trying to help them from a technical level. And they're not going to tell you a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff. They don't need to tell Joe Schmo beta tester number 4 who the Vincent voice actor is. This doesn't make any damn sense. Like, I'm just picturing them doing this, like, Zoom call thing and, like, talking about the game, showing you gameplay, telling you what you need to do, what you're going to be playing, and then being like, oh, yeah, by the way, Vincent's voice actor is so-and-so. Like, it's so integral that you know that. But what doesn't make sense to me either is this person has a lot of, like, thoughts and opinions and what they claim to be facts, I guess, for what's going to happen in Part 2, but they haven't even got their supposed beta testing version of Part 2. They're still waiting on that download code. Let's not forget that. They've only apparently seen this video during the conference call thing. So how can they possibly know anything about Part 2? And even if you don't see Vincent in what they show you during the video call, it doesn't mean that he's not in part 2. They could just be showing you what they need to show you. And maybe they're only showing you what you're going to be playing, because that's something I'm kind of confused about as well, because I've heard other companies like piece out games to you. So like if you're a beta tester or you're testing the game for them, you're only playing parts of it so that you're not obviously getting the full game, full access to the game. So I find it kind of weird that this person claims that they're getting like full access to the entire game, getting to play every bit of it from beginning to end, and even earn trophies apparently. And Square Enix says, you know what? No NDA, you can talk about it. But this person claims that Vincent wouldn't be in the game at all, but we're going to also have access to Sid as a playable character. Just doesn't make any sense to me. And also the fact that he thinks that there's going to be 4 parts, like you're pulling all this out of your ass, my guy. Anyways, when it comes to the Sid stuff, the dude claims that he's got like a forward thrusting attack similar to Cloud, but also he's like a Cloud Tifa hybrid, so he can do damage but also build stagger. Also, apparently Sid was seen using like a downward thrusting attack, maybe jump potentially. That also was using lightning, so that's either elemental paired with this weapon, or maybe like a weapon ability or something like that. I don't know. For one, making claims of what ability Sid's going to have is not that complicated. We've had 30-something years of Final Fantasy games, right? Dragoons have been there since pretty close to the beginning, if not the beginning. I don't know off the top of my head. But we've also had Sonon in the Intermission DLC. Now, we've been saying since before we ever even got Intermission that there's pretty good odds that Sonon's in the game, even though you can't control him, as sort of like a template for Sid, because of course Sid's going to have a polearm style weapon as well. And also just making claims, like basic stuff like Sid's going to have a thrusting forward attack. He's going to have a downward thrust attack. Like, yeah, no shit. Every Dragoon's always had that. Person also makes the claim that we're going to get more of the Melfi and Sonon story, but we learn everything we need to know with the Intermission DLC. Why Sonon wants revenge, what happened to Melfi. So I don't know how you expand on that more. I can see them expanding on more like Sonon and Yuffie. That makes a lot of sense. But also he makes his claim based on not even actually seeing anything involving Sonon. Or Melfi for that matter, and even confirms that this is already an ongoing rumor. So what you see here is this person is, again, reaching up into their asshole and pulling this out. And though BltzZ doesn't show any text for it on screen, apparently the guy claims that we're going to get more on the Whisperers, which I thought we killed them, so I don't know what more there is to tell, but even if they do want to expand on them and tell us more about them, that's not really surprising. And then secondly, they're going to expand on like the hooded, robed guys, the reunion guys, which is, no shit, that's not anything Insider. Of course they're going to tell us more about those characters. Saying that we're going to learn more about stuff that we barely got any information on in the first game is obvious, dude. This is like basic level shit in terms of like making up a rumor. Apparently the person got to look at the like inventory menu and the materials seem to be reset at 0, which doesn't mean anything because how do you know that they even have file transfer? Maybe if they do have it, they didn't do it. You're also playing a beta potentially, so then maybe for the beta everything's at 0, or maybe there's the option to carry stuff over and they chose not to. Like there are so many factors here. They also make the claim that Sector 5 is a bit of a template for the open world later on, which I wouldn't entirely hate. We've talked a lot about this, of course, what they should and shouldn't do, what we think will or won't happen. It's an old topic, but if going forward, like Part 2 is a lot of Sector 5, I wouldn't entirely hate it. I definitely want bigger than that, more of that, but bigger, but Sector 5 was a fantastic location. Also, according to this person, their version of the game is going to have a sort of like chapter select feature, but it's going to allow them to go from checkpoint to checkpoint, and allow them to see everything in the game. I'm losing my patience. I'm like slowly losing interest as I record. Look, admittedly, I don't know how Square Enix does their beta testing, and maybe you guys can tell me in the comments. Maybe it's public knowledge and I'm just not aware. But I just refuse to believe that like any company would just send full versions of games to random people at their house to play. And I know beta testers exist, but man, like especially something like Remake Part 2 that they want to avoid spoilers for, they're just going to give some random guy a copy of it. And no NDA as well. Let's not forget the no NDA claim. He can just talk about it. And I suppose the last thing worth talking about is that BltzZ hits a guy up to like take pictures, screen record, whatever the case, that proof that they're playing Remake Part 2 whenever they get their hands on it. The guy says he's going to try, which I don't. What do you mean try? Like, if you have access to this, it's not that hard to do these things. Especially if you're doing this and beta testing at your house, like you're getting a download code, you're getting to play it at your home. Like it's not that hard to download software to screen record or take a picture with your goddamn phone, like your trophy you're so proud of. Look, my dudes, I said it at the beginning of the video. I'm going to say it here. I think it's all bullshit. Outside of the obvious stuff like they're going to expand on the reunion guys. Like, no shit. Like, that's not even a claim. That's obvious. Outside of the obvious shit, I think just about every aspect of this is bullshit. Like, it just doesn't... There's too many inconsistencies, things that don't add up, things that they say, things that are guesses based off of apparent video that they watched, not them actually playing Part 2. Just stuff like that. Like, it just... Nothing about it makes any sense. If this hit my DMs, I wouldn't have even made a video about it. It was fun to make a video for this, making fun of it and talking shit about it. But if like somebody came to me with this information, I wouldn't even waste my time making a video. But then having like certain claims like characters can't be partied together because the combination would be too strong doesn't really make a lot of sense to me because obviously character abilities are important. Of course they are. But this game, at least with Remake Part 1, is ultimately boils down to your materia. That's what makes you strong. So it doesn't really matter too much about character abilities, because like without the right materia setup, you can lose, at least on hard mode and stuff, obviously. Like, you can lose fights with the wrong materia setup. And also, as Blitz points out in his video, it's a single-player game. So why would they care about balancing and, like, things being OP or whatever? Like, obviously, they don't want you to walk through the game. They want things to be a challenge, but it's not a multiplayer game, so it doesn't really matter if certain combinations are way too powerful. That's how it's always kind of been with FF7. But, my dudes, that is pretty much the video. So, of course, I want to pass stuff to you guys in the comment section. What are your thoughts on these hot new rumors for Remake Part 2. Are you excited to not play Vincent at all until like Part 3 or 4? Super excited about it. But we're going to play as said though. Other dudes, that's the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new ones that did more Final Fantasy VII Remake content. Turn on notifications. Follow me on Twitter, @DavidYT. I'm a Discord. The links to special networks are in the description. And in the outro. Later, guys.
So bullshit. All of it.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Rogaine, or leave it like Cobain.